Hello and welcome to another Skardcast Battle Report. Today we have 1750 points worth of Eldar and Dark Eldar allies against Uri and Rakarth's Coven playing Blood Bowl, a mission for an upcoming tournament, charity event called the Michael Mudd Memorial Tournament. And we start in turn 1. Kevin's turn 1. Ravager and Raider boosted up the side, getting ready to flank the Dark Eldar army. With lots of Venoms and lots of shooting later. So one Talos dead, one Talos down to 2 wounds, 3 warriors die from the foot squad, and a Venom explode thanks to the Eldar jet bikes. And of course, this Raider has actually suffered a hull point and cannot move or shoot. And now we're moving on to Dark Eldar Coven, turn 1. Uri and Rakarth's Coven decides to let loose on the Dark Eldar with Eldar allies. Man, those jet bikes just soaked up everything. They did not fail one save. But, in retrospect, put a hull point on the Ravager, thanks to the Scourges. Blew up 2 Venoms, killed 8 Witches with explosions. Blew up both Vipers and killed 3 Harlequins with the explosions. Other than that, did not do anything to the rest of the army, and both Witch units are fleeing. On another note, TSN turning point. The guy that had the ball tried to throw it 12 inches and needed a 4+ to throw it to pass it to his friends, but he fumbled the ball. And so it scattered because he missed. He scattered all the way up there. And so now the ball is just ready to be grabbed by anybody right now. And now we're moving on to Dark Eldar, turn 2. Ravager and Raider moved up. Fired, put 1 hull point on my Ravager, who passed like every single jinx save. Lots of shooting. Also saw this warrior squad take some casualties from Venoms, and the Talos finally went down to Venom fire. The Eldar jet bikes moved very, very aggressively, glanced down the Venom. The Witches got out and they're fine. The Ravager back there was guided, blew up the Urian's Raider, killing a Grotesque in the explosion, killing 5 warriors, killing 1 Scourge, and then the other jet bikes fired and killed another 2 Scourge, but everybody held. And now we're moving on to Uri and Rakarth's Coven, turn 2. And right now, oh, by the way, that Ravager mobilized himself at the top of that building there. It's getting very intense as the game has joined, and the football is still in the middle, waiting to be grabbed and be played into the game. The Ravager blew up the Raider and killed a bunch of warriors, while the 1 Lance in the warrior squad blew up the Ravager, killing some more warriors. It's just been like a chain reaction of death and destruction. The 2 Raiders tried to take out the Incubi Venom, but only succeeded putting 1 hull point. Even the Scourge, who moved into contact with the football, tried to do some damage, but failed. In retrospect, he has a football, so he can't actually shoot, so it didn't actually do anything. That's good. This Venom fired into the jet bikes and only killed 1, and then 2 Witch units charged into the jet bikes and tied them up in combat, while Uri and Rakarth's Grotesque Carnival of Pain is moving up the center field to put some pressure onto the opponent. And now we're moving on to Eldar, Dark Eldar, turn 3. It's been a bloodbath, and there is more to come. We had the jet bikes jump up and kill the Cabalite warriors. The combat with the Witches and the jet bikes is a stalemate. The Harlequins charged into Uri and Rakarth's Grotesque Pain Train. I killed the Death Gesture in a challenge because my clone field negated his attacks. They killed 1 Grotesque and put a wound on another. I killed another Harlequin model. The Incubi failed to charge. All shooting also saw the 2 warriors die. He failed his morale test. Now he's fleeing, as well as the Raider getting blown up, and 1 Rack died thanks to Feel No Pain. Of course, the Scourge also died to Venom firepower. Now moving on to Uri and Rakarth's turn 3. The Racks killed an Incubi with liquefy guns. Uri and Rakarth and his unit finally killed all the Harlequins and consolidated to protect the main core, who fumbled the ball over here. The 2 Witches finally beat the Windrider jet bikes in combat, but failed to catch them, even with their initiative of 6. And now we're moving on to Eldar, Dark Eldar, turn 4, while another Witch Venom got blown up, and the Witches are now piled out. Shooting saw the Raider immobilize, the Venom die to these cannon over there. These cannon that are still falling back killed the last Witch and the 1-man Witch unit. The Witches are actually pinned even with the reroll from Grizzly Trophies. In combat, Urian Rakarth challenged out the succubus and killed her while she did nothing in return. Now it's my turn. Urian Rakarth regains the wound that he has lost from all that shooting. And now there's 3 witches and 3 incubi versus Urian. And hopefully some friends are going to come and help him. Last but not least, the Ravagers are still over there, and these little warriors try to run away and hide. So now we're moving on to Dark Eldar. Urian Rakarth turn. The witches ran out of their hiding and charged the jetbikes that were fleeing, and they fled off the board. Well, they scattered, so they died. And then the Raider finally took out the other Venom, while the Ravager, this one right here, put 1 more hull point on the other Ravager that's still alive with 1 hull point remaining. Meanwhile, the Rax charged into the Incubi and the Witches, and they ran down the Witches, but 1 Incubi is still running away underneath there. And now we're moving on to Eldar, Dark Eldar. Turn 5, this could be the end of the game. 2 Rax died, and they fell back 7 inches. Urian is still holding with his 5 pain tokens. Witches are still there. The other Witches died horribly. To the 3 Cabalite Warriors trying to get into the end zone, which is 6 inches up, to try and score a point. And other than that, it's getting pretty bloody. The Incubi is still fleeing. The Raider finally destroyed that other Ravager. Urian Rakarth moved up, tried to charge into the Incubi, but failed, but rallied the Incubi. The Witches moved up and ran 5 with the ball, and the Rex actually rallied. So now, we're going to roll to see if the game continues. Does the ref call time? And he does not. We've got another turn on our hands. The jetbikes moved up and left all but 1 witch that went to ground, but the witch that had the ball died, so it fumbled all the way over there. Which means you just scatter it 2d6, which is funny. Farseer came out to prevent Urian from charging him and consolidating into the end zone. The Cabalite Warriors going to the end zone, claiming another point. And the Rex took some Ravager fire, but is still alive. So now we're moving on to Coven, turn 6. So we had Urian move up, run 1 inch. We had the Rex move up, grab the ball, throw him a pass. And he caught it, which is great. And then they flamed the Farseer for a wound. And then the witch actually killed the Incubi. And she consolidated an inch. So now we're going to roll to see if it continues on to the fateful turn 7. Evan, do the honors. Does the ref call time? And he does. End of game. We'll be back because we have to count up some points. Thanks a lot, Kevin. That was a great bloody game. And we'll be back right after this. The dust has settled, and for every 250 victory points that we have destroyed, we each get 1 point. So total, we've each given each other 6 points because we murdered each other's armies out of a maximum 7 points. And then I killed his warlords, and he has a denial unit in my end zone, which is 6 inches from my deployment zone. I could have gotten like a 3-point swing had I gotten the first touchdown, and then it would have given me more touchdowns to my opponent. But as it stands, we have each given each other 7 points, basically drawing ourselves this game. This is a draw. What a bloodbath. I have 2 Rax, a Witch, Urian, and an Immobilized Raider left, and he has 3 jet bikes, 1 wounded Farseer, the wounded immobile Ravager, and 3 warriors. And that is all. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned for the Tactical Corner. This is Scarredcast. Make sure you check out the blog, Facebook page, and the podcast, of course. Thanks a lot. Comments appreciated. Favorite if you really like it. Share it with your friends. And let's get this ball rolling. Cheers. Skari out. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. So, I was facing an army that had a lot more shooting than me, even though we were the same army. He had 3 Ravagers to my 1, and he had 4 Venoms to my 2. And at the beginning of the game, I was able to mitigate his damage. He actually, well, he deployed all across his table, so I focused on one flank, basically meaning that negating most of his army, at least for the first turn, and then being able to focus on that little corner where he had his jet bikes and like a Ravager, and the Harlequins were of course center field, so they could kind of react to anything that would go. So I just hit them hard. Of course, the mission was kind of crazy. You had to grab a football and try to get a touchdown with it, so I had to be aggressive. Now, he moved a small flanking force over to the side, a Ravager and a Raider full of warriors. Now, I knew that I was going to have to deal with them at some point, because if not, they were going to destroy me completely. And luckily enough, when they moved around, they actually failed to do any damage to the Ravager itself, my only Ravager, which meant I was then able to use that Ravager to take out his flanking force pretty effectively together with the Warrior Squad Lance, really putting a damper on his ability to encircle me, and I was able to really thrust forward with all my stronger units directly into the core of his army, and eventually be in a position where I could have potentially easily won the game with a couple extra rolls. It was such a bloodbath that we didn't really have much left at the end of the game, and it all came down to some pretty standard little bits of points here and there. And, you know, as it stood at the end of the game, Urien Rakoth could have potentially scored a touchdown. You can see him there with the football, although he was unable to get a high enough run to get into the end zone. And that was game. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Skari out.